Most of the experts are picking either Texas, Oklahoma, or Kansas State to win the Big 12 in 2023. But I'm here to tell you, I think there's another team that we need to be on the lookout for as a dark horse to win this league, and that is the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let's talk about it. What is up, college sports fans, Big 12 fans, and fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos. Welcome into another edition of Coos's Corner. Pull that chair up and let me serve you up this shot of top shelf college football content. On tap in today's episode, we are talking about the Texas Tech Red Raiders, the excitement and the buildup that's going on there in Lubbock, Texas, as they get ready to prepare for the 2023 football season. Now, their head coach, Joey McGuire, was coaching high school football just 7 years ago. That's right. He was a high school football coach at Cedar Hills High School in Texas just 7 years ago. Now he is the head football coach of a Power 5 team. He took a very non-traditional path to get where he's at. He did not coach at the FCS level, did not coach at the Group of 5 level, did not even coach at a Division 3 or Division 2 level in college. He went straight from being a high school coach to being an assistant coach at Baylor under Matt Rhule. Matt Rhule left. Dave Aranda kept him on the staff. He remained a position coach for the Baylor Bears. Now, he did get promoted at one time to assistant head coach or associate head coach, but he never held a job as a coordinator. So he skipped a lot of those steps that most coaches go through, whether being a head coach at a lower level, then a coordinator maybe. He didn't do any of that. He went from high school to being a position coach to being a head football coach at a Power 5 school, but that has not held him back at all. McGuire has used his charismatic personality, his confidence in himself and what he does as a coach, and his ability to build strong relationships with people, primarily high school coaches in the state of Texas, to bring excitement back to Lubbock, Texas. We can all remember that big speech he gave at the end of a game last year where he said, everything runs through Lubbock. Everything runs through Lubbock. Joey McGuire, I feel, believes that deep down in his heart, and I think his players now believe it as well, and they feel like they can compete with anybody in the nation. I think Texas Tech players believe in Joey McGuire. They believe and are buying what he's selling. And with him leading that charge and what he's doing on the recruiting trail, man, I'm telling you, big things there, big things there. Last year, McGuire's first season, they went 8-5 overall and 5-4 in the Big 12 Conference, which was good enough for a fourth place finish in the league. They closed the season on a high note, winning 4 games in a row, including a 42-25 win over Ole Miss in the Texas Bowl. Also, for the first time in school history, the Red Raiders defeated both Texas and Oklahoma in the same season. McGuire's also killing it, like I mentioned earlier, on the recruiting trail. Those relationships he's building with high school coaches in the state of Texas, his experience coaching there in the state of Texas, which he did for over a decade, has allowed him to get to know a lot of coaches, probably even a lot of families, a lot of players, and he's been able to use those to help him recruit at Texas Tech. He currently has the top, according to 24/7 Sports, he has the 20th rated class in the entire country for the 2024 recruiting class. Now, I get it. It's only June. That could change. I understand that, but that's still a very good place to be for Texas Tech right now, and it's helping grow that momentum and that confidence that's building there in Lubbock. The Red Raiders are currently the favorites. Get this now. They are the favorites right now, according to most recruiting experts, to land 5-star wide receiver Micah Hudson, who is basically being recruited by just about every major school in the country. 24/7 Sports Composite has Hudson as the number 8 player overall in the entire country, the number 2 player overall in the state of Texas, and the number 2 wide receiver in the country. So this player, who normally would go to Alabama or Texas or Georgia or one of those schools, it's very likely he will end up signing with the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Now, we all know he's not committed yet, and even after he commits, he still has to sign that national letter of intent. And we all know in the NIL era, there could be some teams coming at him. But from everything I'm hearing out of Lubbock, Texas, and the reports I'm reading, they're doing their part in the NIL game as well. And they might be able to compete with some of these larger schools in the NIL landscape. Now, you may be asking, Coos, what does any of this have to do with how good they'll be in 2023? Well, I think it all starts, and that's a good question, but I think it all starts with what I talked about earlier, and that's the confidence this team has in Joey McGuire, the confidence he has, and the momentum that's building there. This team truly believes they can compete. They truly believe they can win, and that will go a long way in helping them build off of that 8-5 season from a year ago. They returned 17 players from that team from last season. An 8-5 team, they returned 17 players with starting experience. Most of those are on the offensive side of the football. They have 11 players coming back on offense that have starting experience. Of that 11, includes 6'5" quarterback Tyler Shuck, who opened the 2022 season as a starter. Unfortunately, he suffered an injury to his collarbone, which caused him to miss, I think, around half the season. He came back in as a starter with 4 games left to go in the season after injuries to the other 2 quarterbacks. And what did he do in those 4 games? He won. He won all 4 of those games. And listen to this statistic that I picked up off ESPN. Tyler Shuck is 8-0 as a starting quarterback when he starts a game and finishes a game. He's done that 8 times, and he is 8-0 in those games. So Tyler Shuck is a winner. He's a proven winner, and he has been named once again the starting quarterback for the 2023 season for the Red Raiders. And in those 4 games that he won last year, he completed 90 of 143 passes, which is good for a 63% completion percentage, 1,065 yards, 5 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. So when they open the season against Wyoming in week 1, Shuck will be behind center. Now, interestingly enough, in week 2 of the season, Tyler Shuck's old team, the team he transferred from, the Oregon Ducks, will be coming into Lubbock to take on the Red Raiders. So that should be a game. That should be a very interesting football game. I'm sure Oregon will likely be the favorite in that game, but I really think Texas Tech has a good opportunity right there to win, especially since it's being played in Lubbock. Now, Shuck was to get injured again in 2023, and he has been injury prone. He suffered several injuries in his career. His backup, Baron Morton, isn't too shabby either. As a matter of fact, a lot of Texas Tech fans wanted Morton to be the starter for 2023. A lot thought he would be the starter because when he came in last year, he was the third stringer last year when they started the season. Shuck got injured. Donovan Smith started a few games, and he got injured. Baron Morton came in as a freshman and played pretty darn well. Smith has now transferred to Houston to play for Coach Dana Holgorsen. Morton will now be the backup under Shuck. And in the games he started last year, Morton was 96 of 169 for 1,117 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, the one big problem with Morton is he did throw 6 picks as well in those games. And unfortunately, Morton, I remember him all too well. My team, West Virginia, last year went into Lubbock, Texas to play Texas Tech and got absolutely embarrassed. West Virginia was torched last year by Texas Tech, and Baron Morton had a heck of a game. He threw for 325 yards and 2 touchdowns in a 48-10 blowout win over my Mountaineers last year. So the guy can play quarterback. So even if Shuck were to go down injured, they have a very solid backup to come in Baron Morton. Now, Phil Steele, according to him, Texas Tech has the 3rd strongest quarterback room in the Big 12 going into the season. And that is because of both Shuck and Morton having that experience and the success they both saw last year in Big 12 conference play. Now, Morton did struggle. The game after West Virginia last year was against Baylor. He struggled mightily in that game before going down with an injury. But before that, he had been playing pretty darn well. And by the way, the only 2 schools ahead of Texas Tech on Phil Steele's list, as far as their quarterback room goes, are Oklahoma and Texas. 2 pretty good quarterback rooms, if I have to say so myself. Now, the unit these 2 quarterbacks will be throwing to, Phil Steele has listed as the best in the Big 12. That's the wide receiving corps. Texas Tech returns 8 of 9 receivers from last year's team, including their leading receiver, Jaron Bradley, who caught 51 balls for 744 yards and 6 touchdowns as a freshman. The 6'5" receiver is a matchup nightmare for opposing defensive backs. They also return running back Taj Brooks, who was their leading rusher from a year ago with 691 yards. They did lose 3 starters off the O-line. However, Joey McGuire went out and picked up 2 offensive linemen from the group of 5 level that have starting experience, and they get a starter back from the 2021 season who missed the 2022 season with an injury. So the 3 starters they lost are being replaced by 3 guys who also have starting experience at the FBS level. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, there are more question marks on this side of the ball. They lose their top 5 tacklers from a year ago. And their overall best defensive player was defensive end Tyree Wilson, who went in the first round, the 7th overall pick to the Las Vegas Raiders in the NFL draft this past April. Now, they do have 6 starters returning, including 2 seniors in nose tackle Jalen Hutchings and cornerback Rashad Williams. Hutchings is coming off a 2022 season with 48 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, and 1.5 sacks. Williams in the secondary was second on last year's team with 7 passes defended to go along with 1 interception. These 2 guys will be leaned on heavily to lead this defense in 2023. While the defense isn't expected to be the strength of this team going into this season, I do think they can be good enough for this team to compete for a Big 12 title, or at least be a dark horse to do that. With Zach Keatley at the helm of that Texas Tech offense, they're probably going to put up a lot of points. With all these guys coming back with starting experience, including their quarterback, including their running back, including their leading receiver, 3 offensive linemen coming back from a year ago, I really, really think this offense can be really explosive. We all know Zach Keatley's offenses can put up points in bunches. I don't expect that to be any different in 2023. So this defense does not have to be elite. If they could just be an average, top 50 maybe defense in the nation, maybe even top 75 defense in the nation, top 60. If they can just be a middle of the pack defense nationally, I think Texas Tech can win a lot of football games. They can at least repeat an 8-5 season from last year. Now, if the defense happens to step up and be better than that, if they are a top 40 or 30 defense, Texas Tech could very well be in that conversation come late November to be playing in the Big 12 title game with Coach Joey McGuire at the helm and all he's doing there. If I'm Texas Tech fans, I'm excited about this season, and I'm even more excited about the future of this team and this program because of what Joey McGuire's building there. And I think if they can keep this up, as a fan of a Big 12 team, this team scares me. I'm worried about this team and the momentum they're building because I really think they have a chance to take the mantle and become the top team in the new Big 12 going forward if they're able to keep this momentum up that they're seeing right now with Joey McGuire at the helm. If you want to support me here on Couz's Corner, there are several ways you can do that. You can help me out financially by becoming a member of my channel, hitting the join button right below. There's a level where you get $2.99, pay $2.99 a month, and there's one where you pay $4.99 a month. There are perks that go with those, including random member shout-outs. Right now, I want to give a shout-out to one of my members named Jeremy Croy. Jeremy, I really appreciate your support. There are other perks that go along with that as well. The perks are all explained to you once you click the button. You can also give me a one-time donation by hitting the heart thanks button right below. It's basically like a super chat, but on a video that's not live. And also, you can check out my merch store. I have several different designs. There are photos of the designs below. There's a link to you can click on one of those photos to get you right into my merch store, or there's also a link in my description box. You can check it out there. Last but not least, you can support me absolutely free in 4 ways. Like the video by hitting the thumbs up button, share this with your friends, drop a comment below, let me know what you think about Texas Tech and the opportunity they have and the potential they have to compete for a Big 12 title in 2023. And also, you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Help me get to my next major goal of 10,000 subs. I have a very, very lofty goal. Now, this is going to be hard to get, but it's a stretch goal I have of getting 10,000 subscribers by the end of the calendar year. So I want to almost double my subscription base by the end of the year. And also, guys, if you haven't yet, Mountaineer Paul, a good friend of mine, he and I have a channel together called Hoops from the Hills. If you're a West Virginia basketball fan, or if you just want to keep up with what's going on with West Virginia basketball, especially with the Bob Huggins situation, go check out Hoops from the Hills. We've almost got that channel up to 1,000 subscribers. Go support us there as well. With that being said, guys, I really appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate your support. And until the next time, Q Country Roads.
West Virginia, proud to mama, take me home.